Wonder Murmur, where whispers weave the heart.
Hello, little hearts. A new whisper begins. In a quiet farm with a big blue pond and a barn that smelled of fresh hay, lived a duck with a beautiful white coat and eyes full of dreams. Her name was Jemima Puddle-Duck. Jemima was a mother at heart, but her life was filled with frustration. Every time she laid an egg, the farmer's wife would take it away and give it to a hen to hatch. I don't like the farmer's wife. Jemima sighed to her sister Rebecca, her voice a quiet, sad quack. She took all of my eggs. I want to hatch my own. Rebecca, a sensible duck with a no-nonsense attitude, just shook her head. I'm glad she took my eggs, she said. I don't have time to sit on them. You would get bored, Jemima. Then you'd forget about your eggs. But Jemima didn't listen. She didn't want to get bored. She wanted to feel the joy of being a mother, to watch her babies hatch. So, she decided to hide her eggs. She hid them in the tall grass under a bucket and behind a flower pot. But the farmer's wife, a woman with a sharp eye, always found them. Jemima stomped her foot in frustration. That's it, she declared. I am leaving this farm. I'll lay my eggs in another place, and then I'll hatch them myself. And with a flap of her wings, she was gone. She flew high into the sky, her heart filled with a mix of fear and determination. From the top of a big hill, she saw a deep, dark forest. It looked mysterious and safe, a perfect place for a secret nest. She flew over the forest, her eyes scanning the ground for a good spot. She landed in a quiet clearing and walked a few steps, her heart full of hope. But a stranger, a gentleman with a long, friendly face and eyes that sparkled in the sun, was sitting on a tree stump. He wore a fancy coat and looked like a kind person. Hello, the gentleman said, a wide smile on his face. Are you lost? Jemima, in her naivete, didn't know that she was talking to a clever fox. I am not lost, she said, puffing out her chest. I need a place to lay my eggs. The fox grinned, a flash of white teeth in the sun. I love eggs, he said, and for a moment, his eyes seemed to glint with a strange hunger. And I love little ducklings. Jemima, not hearing the danger in his words, just thought he was a kind gentleman. The fox led her to a shed, a small wooden building in a quiet part of the woods. Jemima peered inside, her eyes wide with a mix of suspicion and hope. It was a cozy place, with straw and feathers. She decided it would be perfect. She went inside, made a warm nest, and laid her first egg. I'll be back tomorrow, she said to the fox as she left. I will take good care of your nest, the fox promised. For days, Jemima came to the shed, laying one egg after another. The fox, playing the perfect gentleman, would watch her, a patient, wicked smile on his face. He would count the eggs every night, a greedy gleam in his eyes. He had a feast planned, and Jemima was the main course. Finally, there were 9 eggs in the nest. I'm done, Jemima said to the fox, her heart filled with a mother's deep joy. Tomorrow I'll be back, and I will stay until my eggs hatch. Wonderful, the fox said, a hungry glint in his eye. But first, bring me some herbs for our dinner. I will cook a big dinner for us. Jemima, trusting him completely, promised she would. She left the shed, her heart filled with a happy song. She had a perfect nest, and soon she would have 9 perfect ducklings. On her way back to the farm, she met Kep, the farm dog, a wise and loyal creature who always looked out for the other animals. "Where are you going, Jemima?" Kep barked. "What's in your mouth?" "Herbs," Jemima quacked proudly, "for a dinner with a new friend, a gentleman who is helping me hatch my eggs." Kep's ears perked up. "A gentleman? What does he look like?" Jemima described the fox, and Kep's eyes, which were usually so calm, filled with a sudden terrible fear. "Where does he live?" Kep asked, his voice now a low growl. Jemima, now a bit frightened herself, told him the location of the shed. Kep, without a word, ran away, a blur of fur and a promise of rescue. Jemima, now filled with a strange sense of dread, returned to the shed. The fox was there, sniffing the air, a nervous look on his face. "Jemima," he said, his voice no longer sweet, "get inside now." Just as Jemima went inside, she heard a terrible sound from outside. Barks, howls, and growls. The door slammed shut, and Jemima, trapped and terrified, knew in her heart that the gentleman was not a gentleman at all. A moment later, the door opened, and it was Kep. "Come, Jemima," he said, his voice soft with relief. "The fox is gone. I have scared him away. He will not be back. Put your eggs in this bag, and I will take you to a new hiding spot. This one is not safe." Kep took Jemima back to the farm and found her a new safe place to hide her eggs. The fox was never seen again. Days passed, and Jemima, now a mother, was happier than she had ever been. She sat on her nest, a quiet, happy warmth filling her heart. She heard a soft peck, 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 and a tiny wet duckling emerged from its shell. It was her baby. She was a mother, and her heart was wool gold. "My baby," she quacked, "you are so beautiful." She waited for the others, but no more eggs hatched. She had only one baby. A feeling of disappointment, a small sad sting came to her. She led her duckling outside and showed him to the other ducks. "I only have one duckling," she said sadly. A duck named Dora, with 5 proud ducklings, laughed at her. "You only have one duckling, Jemima." "I have 5. "He is not as perfect as 5 ducklings." Jemima's heart, which had been so full, now felt a little empty. She had only one baby, and her friend Dora had 5. She began to compare her life to Dora's, and she felt a small familiar sadness. A few days later, Dora, who was leaving for the shop, asked Jemima to watch her 5 ducklings. Jemima, wanting to prove she could be a mother to many, agreed. "I will watch them," she said, a confident note in her voice. "I can take care of 6 babies." Dora left, and Jemima was now the mother of 6 ducklings. It was chaos. The ducklings were mischievous and disobedient. They ran into the chicken house and played with the chicks, and Jemima, frantic, had to go and get them. "Ducks do not belong in the chicken house." The chicken, Penny Penny, clucked, annoyed. Jemima, with her own duckling following her, gathered all of them. "Come, my darlings," she said. But the ducklings, seeing the pond, all jumped in and began to splash. They swam away, diving under lily pads and playing with frogs. Jemima, a small lump of frustration in her throat, had to jump in after them. She couldn't keep track of them all. By the time she had them all out of the water, she was exhausted. "I have 5 ducklings." she said, counting them. No. 2. No. 4. She couldn't even count them. They were a blur of motion, a flurry of feathers and noise. Just then, Dora returned from the shop. "Thank you for watching my babies," Dora said happily. Jemima, soaked and exhausted, looked at her single duckling who was sitting quietly beside her, and a great sense of peace settled in her heart. She looked at Dora, then at the 5 noisy ducklings, and she smiled. "Poor Dora," Jemima said. 5 ducklings is too many babies for one mother. I only have one baby, but he is perfect. He is all I need." And from that day on, Jemima Puddle-Duck never compared herself to Dora again. She was a mother to one perfect duckling, and that was all the happiness she needed. She had learned a very important lesson, that it is better to be a good mother to one than an exhausted mother to many, and that true happiness is not about having more, but about loving what you have.
Wonder murmur, the story departs, yet the whisper imparts.